Well, one of the big schemes announced post-COVID-19 to help the MSME sector was the Credit Guarantee Scheme, whereby MSMEs, medium and small enterprises with under 25 crore loan outstandings were to be given loans up to 20%, that is up to 5 crore, which the government would fully guarantee. The government provided funds to guarantee 3 lakh crore of such loans, and as of this week, only 1.93 lakh crores has been sanctioned and 1.45 lakh crore has been disbursed. That's just half the available amount of funds that could be guaranteed. Now, what's going wrong? The government itself has increased the limit from 25 crore to 50 crore outstanding. It has also included a whole lot of MSMEs with revenues or size up to 250 crore and even personal loans. And still, we have not seen a disbursal of more than half the total amount of kitty. So is this a lack of demand issue? Is there banker risk aversion that is responsible? Lack of awareness? To answer all these and other questions, I have with me a band of experts who cover all sides. I have with me Mr. V. Satya Venkata Rao, who's the Deputy Managing Director of SIDBI, which was the nodal agency which even planned this scheme. Sanjay Agarwal, Senior Director at Care Ratings. Chandrakanta Salunkhe, the founder and President of the SME Chamber of India. And Dr. Ramjas Yadav, who is the Chief General Manager, Retail Assets with special focus on MSME at Bank of Baroda. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Well, let me start with you, Mr. Venkata Rao. Well, what according to you is going wrong? If it is a 3 lakh crore and we started off in what, March or April, it's only half disbursed. Is something wrong?
According to us as bankers, we have been able to show that at least within a span of 4 to 5 months, if the risk aversion is to be there, even 1,90,000 crore of sanction would not have seen the light of the day. So I don't think really the risk aversion is there on the part of lenders to lend to any of the eligible MSMEs that fall under the specified criteria. Now coming to what are the shortcomings. Shortcomings, I would not like to say that there are any shortcomings which are showing that the MSMEs are not picking up the loans. There are multiple reasons. First of all, we know that the entire industry has gone through the lockdown phase. The unlock measures are being in place for the last 3 to 4 months, and September and October have shown to be really very good and very positive things are happening, by which the demand is picking up. Of course, the consumer demand, as we know that the government of India has made several announcements, even including the LFC scheme, etc., by which the demand is being spurred up. So if we look at these factors, I don't think we need to be diffident that only 1,90,000 crore has been sanctioned and 50% of the amount has been disbursed. There are other reasons too, right? Actually, if you look at the income tax department has made refunds of around 1,18,000 to 1,20,000 crores in the last 5 to 6 months. If this is another thing which the liquidity has gone into the MSMEs, and there are a couple of more things which I would like to mention. One is the special liquidity schemes which have been announced by the Reserve Bank of India. In fact, from SIDBI's side, we got an allocation of around 15,000 crores. These 15,000 crores have in fact been advanced through the banks, NBFCs and MFIs for eventual disbursements to MSMEs.
Okay.
So if we look at all these figures, then definitely the way we have progressed so far has been encouraged.
Okay, yeah. But all right. I mean, I'm sure the government would have had some view. After all, SIDBI got 15,000 crore as a special facility from RBI. We are falling short by government estimates by 1.5 lakh crore as of now, if you look at disbursals. Before I come to Mr. Salunkhe, who will perhaps have a view on whether it is bankers or MSMEs which are at fault, let me give the banker a chance. Mr. Yadav, what's your estimate? Is it a lack of demand or something else?
Thank you very much, Ladaji. I think let me first of all take the opportunity to give a big thanks to the government team who has come out with such kind of beneficial scheme for the MSME, which is the lifeline for the Indian economy.
Mr. Yadav, you don't have to thank now. The scheme came 6 months back. You guys are not disbursing.
No, let me come, Lataji, on that issue also. Now, to me, to be very precisely, this is the a case of how to see the glass of water. Is it a half empty or is it half full? If you say me as about the sanction as well as disbursed, I think you will be appreciating that so far more than 51 lakhs MSME beneficiaries has already been sanctioned, and this amount is definitely going to cross of 2 trillion very soon. And as far as, if you allow me just to share experience of Bank of Baroda, which has been really a pioneer in these schemes of sanctioning as well as disbursement. See, the the theme as well as the prime objective of picking up the scheme is how quickly we can reach out to the customer.
Yes.
And Bank of Baroda has taken the first initiative the moment it was launched. Rather, it was declared on the May. We have a webinar for the MSME entrepreneurs across the country, and
Yes.
that was not only from the branch level part, but it was from the desk of the MD and EDs
Yes.
of the bank.
Yes.
And on the first instance, we were able to talk the 50,000 plus entrepreneurs on that day,
Okay.
and it was the really success case of the Bank of Baroda.
Okay.
That today we
Okay.
have sanctioned 8,500 crores till date, and of which I am having a privilege to share with you that 87% has already been disbursed.
Okay.
And you know why it is the lesser disbursements, to be very precisely from the experience of direct interaction with the entrepreneurs. They are very commercial and very objective too. What they are saying, the moment economic activities are picking up, they are going to take the availment.
Okay.
So they got it sanctioned, and little bit difference
Fair
which you
point.
observe
Fair
with the sanction and disbursement.
Okay.
It depends upon the how fast economic activity is growing.
Okay,
And after
fair point.
this
No, I take your point on that, Mr. Yadav.
Yeah.
There was no economic activity in the first quarter, and maybe that's why they didn't. But, when the government announced this scheme, the idea was also that they should be, and Sidbi also may correct me on this, they wanted to keep people employed so that the companies take the money, keep the employees on the rolls, and wait for economic activity to start. Mr. Salunki, you tell me, as a representative of SMEs, are the bankers not being that liberal, or is it that MSMEs, I mean, if you're a school bus owner, buses are not running, or if you were ferrying people, tourists, work was stranded, is that the reason why the money is not drawn?
See, first of all, let me tell you, the point is, banks have not reached to these 7 crore MSMEs, but first of all. Second thing, there are only 45 lakh MSMEs are enjoying bank facilities.
Yeah.
So where are the 7 crore MSMEs are enjoying? Private finance or local finance or, the Hundi finance? This is what. Why banks are not achieving the target given by the government, given by the RBI governor? What is the role of bankers currently? The bankers' role is to, to fulfill the financial requirements of the MSME sector. Now look at the, last year's the growth shown by the RBI from October to February 2019 to 2020 February. They had declined 66% MSME lending. This is published by the RBI. So what is the role of banks? I'm not, showing the negative of the role of the bank, but why banks are not achieving the target given by the government. Second thing, in 45 lakhs companies, only 30 lakhs approximately MSMEs have enjoyed this 20% facility. What about the others? They are not eligible, or they are not given the facility, the loan facility at 20%, or they are not given the proper attention on that.
But
Another very interesting, let me tell you, banks are not achieving the target. The reason should be taken care by the bankers. This is the right time to understand, because government has also observed that banks are not achieving target growth. That is the main point today.
to be fair, the discrepancy between 6 crore or 7 crore of MSME units that are registered and 45 lakhs who have bank accounts, that difference clearly is because it is MFIs who are serving the others and banks are serving the slightly larger ones. Sanjay, you've been listening patiently. What is your sense? would the argument be that bankers are also worried about stress on their books and therefore lending to bankable MSMEs? What is your best guess?
No, so I think we'll have to discuss the reason why this 3 lakh crore target itself has been given. So if you're looking at a 3 lakh crore of a 20% target, which means you're looking at a 15 lakh crore sort of a universe. And if you look at RBI data for August end, the MSME priority sector lending was about 11 lakh crores, so a couple of lakh crores here and there from NBFCs. You reach the figure of 15 lakh crores. So probably the government wanted to fund everybody. Now, we are not in a situation where everybody needs additional funding, number one, nor can we say that every banker and every NBFC has to lend to every client of theirs. So I think that is where the whole goal setting starts from. So the figure of 3 lakh crore itself looks very aggressive, unless we are looking at, say, increasing the target to say 100 or 100 crore amount or something like that. So that is where it starts. Then we have reached a figure of about 1.5 lakh crores,
Yes.
which covers a loan of about 7.5 lakh crores, and that itself is about 60 to 70% of the overall NBFC SMEs to be covered. So there is a pretty distance, pretty good distance that we have walked through in the whole journey. Now, obviously, there will be specific NBFCs or bankers who have lent at very high rates. For them to have a ceiling of 14%, 14.5% or 9% or something is something they may not be willing to do it because this is unsecured, whereas in secured they may have taken 18% or a...
Okay. But 1 minute, Sanjay, 1 minute. So your main point is it could be because it is unsecured credit, bankers would be risk averse. And your earlier point was that of those 45 lakh units, everyone may not need. Is that your main point?
Yeah.
Okay. I just multiplied 45 lakh by 5 crore and then the total comes to 2.25 lakh crore. You don't think that every one of them would need?
So if you see the figures, the average amount disbursed has been, say, 2 lakh crores, or in case of private sector banks, in 2 lakh rupees or 15 lakh rupees or something like that.
Okay.
So we're not talking in crores at all.
Okay. Fair point, gentlemen. I have to take a break on this note. We are coming back with more questions to our guests on whether the other MSME schemes have worked better than the credit guarantee one. We are back in a minute. One of the big schemes announced by the government to help MSMEs post-COVID was a 3 lakh crore kitty for guaranteeing loans given to MSMEs with an outstanding loan of 25 crore. It was later raised to 50 crore. 20% of their outstandings given to them as loan would be guaranteed. As of October 27th, we find that out of that 3 lakh crore, 1.45 lakh crore of loans have been disbursed. And another up to 1.9 lakh crore has been sanctioned. So another 40,000 crore needs to be disbursed. We've been speaking with Mr. Satya Venkata Rao of SIDBI, Mr. Chandrakanta Salunke, the founder and president of the MSME Chamber, Mr. Ram Jas Yadav, the chief general manager at Bank of Baroda, and Sanjay Agarwal of Care Ratings. Just before we went to the break, the bankers and the MSME representative have been sparring, disagreeing a bit with the MSME representative, Mr. Salunke, saying that banks are not reaching targets, and bankers saying that, they have been disbursing and they will disburse to people who knock at the door. Sanjay Agarwal saying that, not everyone takes a loan unless they see economic activity. The MSMEs probably didn't see activity. Okay, let me come to you again, Mr. Venkata Rao. What is your sense? Is it not adequately popularized? What have you been picking from MSME units? Are they being turned away by banks or are they not knocking at the door?
Before I answer that, first let me give the perspective of SIDBI's own position, because out of around 5,000 and odd borrowers, around 2,975 borrowers have approached SIDBI and sought the assistance under this particular scheme.
Okay.
I'm happy to state that around 68% of these 1,376 crores, which I'm talking, that is around 1,000 crores have been sanctioned, and 763 crores, representing around 55%, has been disbursed. Now, if you say that the borrowers are not approaching because of the lack of awareness of the scheme, I doubt whether it is so. Because you see, in any relationship between the banker and the borrower, the dialogue is something which goes on a continuous basis. Especially when we talk of corporates, we are not dealing with individuals where there can be some communication gaps or their particular communication has not reached out to them. And there has been enough awareness. Even if you go by the tweets of the regulators, the ministries, etc., lot is being said about the publicity and the awareness of this particular scheme. So I don't think this is really a factor by which the community is not aware of the bank loans and hence they are not availing. I'm not inclined to agree on that.
Okay.
Second, as my co-panelists are pointing out, there has to be an economic activity. If you look at in the months of definitely April and May, we lost a couple of months completely due to the lockdown. When there is no economic activity, you can't really ask any borrower to approach to a bank and take loan. And immediately after the economic activity, after the lockdown has been lifted, the economic activity is coming back and we are seeing a growth in the loan book. I'm not very diffident in saying that this 1,40,000 crores has only been disbursed so far and the rest is not being taken. I fully believe that still the doors are being opened, and when there is a flurry of applications will come in, the banks will not take any kind of step by which they refuse the loans. In fact, if you look at almost very periodic kind of reviews are being held at very senior levels to push the eligible borrowers to avail the assistance, and the banks, NBFCs are also playing their part in disbursing the loans to the borrowers.
Okay. Sanjay, what is your data telling you? You all put out a monthly from CARE ratings. Has disbursements to MSME improved in the second quarter over first quarter, in October over September?
No, so we don't have data on October, let's say. So if you see FY means on a year-to-year basis to, let's say, August end, the growth to MSME loan was about 5.5% in terms of the priority sector loan, whereas the overall banking sector growth was about 6%. If you compare the same period last year, the overall growth was 9%, whereas MSME growth was less than 5%. So there has been some pickup in the MSME loan growth compared to the overall sector. It may not be on an absolute basis, but on the overall sector, there has been some growth. And I believe this scheme would be one of the larger reasons for that growth.
Okay. So, all right. So there's nothing being singled out. They are growing at least a little better than the overall loan growth. Mr. Yadav, you were telling me, have you noticed October loan growth in MSMEs more than September?
Yeah, that is true. That's what I'm trying to tell you very aggressively that in the October the speed is very fast, and I'm very much confident that whatever I think one of the colleagues has shared some data, it is fact, because in the regulatory MSME, if we say the 11 trillion outstanding on the February or March, and if we take the NP and SME2 out, it comes around with 10 trillion, and 20% becomes around 2 trillion. That is going to be crossed very much. I am very much confident that in the October, the figure which has been dispersed, it will be going to be reflected and it will be to the very satisfaction. And moreover, as a banker, I see as a business opportunity. This is not a compulsion, because from my perspective, I don't have the risk weight on this kind of exposure. And also, I have the 100% guarantee. So for me as a banker, I look at a very good business propositions under this credit line scheme.
Okay, actually to buttress your point, I can tell you CARE ratings end August number was 1.77 lakh crore, and as of October 27th, I have a number of 1.93 lakh crore. So clearly from August over the 2 months, there has been a pickup. I take a point on that. Mr. Salunke, you know, the key problem is what you are pointing out. There are 7 crore units and there are only 45 lakh with a CIBIL score. And banks obviously want some score before they lend. Now, are your is there a tendency of the other MSMEs to try and get to the level where they get a CIBIL score?
They don't have rating, but the bank is having the internal system to understand the requirement of the MSME sector. When any small entrepreneur or medium entrepreneur or any particularly enterprises are approaching the banks, they are taking 1 month to 2 months to review the proposal. And after completion the proposal, they take a CIBIL report. I'm just giving you practical information. They take a CIBIL report. They say, no, you have some issue of your credit card. Now go back to the settle. So that means 1.5 months is gone. while completion of the formalities. But after that, they will say now you are not eligible for loan. You can first you finish your issues with the civil. They come back to you. Another point, madam, there are 45,000 to 50,000 medium-sized industries. Honorable Prime Minister focusing the $5 trillion US economy. We will not achieve the at least 2027, 2028 if we achieve the 11 to 11.5% growth, GDP growth.
Okay. So that is a larger problem. Sir,
Yeah,
in a 20-minute show, we cannot address that problem. We have to address something very specific. I want to ask you if the remaining 6 crore, are they at least getting MFI aid?
See, I'll tell you frankly, the banks are ready to lend, but MSMEs are not ready to take a loan from them. This is also one gap. And for that, my chamber is working, creating awareness, giving education to MSMEs. But the government is giving the target growth. Why banks are not achieving? That is the most important thing. And SIDBI can play a very important role. Madam, another point, when we talk about the larger growth or larger point of view, the base level, the MSME sector should be given the right hand or hand holding to become a larger. Now we have a 50,000, at least 50,000 medium-sized industry. How will compete with the China? How will compete with the world market? Unless until we will not empower them for all types, entrepreneurship, employment.
I know that is not disputed at all, sir. It is just that that's a very large question. How do you raise the other 6 crore who don't even have a CIBIL score? One last word to you, Mr. Venkatrao. Any program of SIDBI to, for that last mile, or, should we start actively encouraging MFIs?
Absolutely. See, in fact, we have got this Solomon facility, and the hand-holding agencies are there. In fact, SIDBI's role, if you look at, it is not just merely a financing agency. We spend a lot of time. We have so many programs by which the MSME awareness is being created. We are asking entrepreneurs to stand up on their own. And we are doing everything to reach out to the MSMEs to get their support on the financial front. In fact, of course, as the figures speak, out of 6 crores, etc., it's only the 50 lakhs. We need to understand and appreciate that the entire credit is not to the formal means. Lot of informal finance is being reached to the MSMEs. If we factor in all that, then perhaps, of course, now there are so many digital initiatives also which are happening, by which the borrowers are just getting the type of loan on the click of a mouse. So these are the things which we need to keep in mind while talking about the entire funding requirements of the MSME sector. And SIDBI as, just 1 minute, let me complete. SIDBI as an institution will definitely play its part in reaching out to the MSMEs, especially the stand-up entrepreneurs, etc. And we will do whatever is necessary to provide them credit and non-credit support.
All right, gentlemen, perhaps not enough 20 minutes to discuss such an intricate topic. And a large issue, as Mr. Salunke is repeatedly pointing out, this is the base of the pyramid and we have to reach out to more people. But we must remember that banks are in a commercial business. Thank you very much, gentlemen. The key takeaways, probably MSMEs also are not reaching out because they did not see economic activity. Banks, being in a commercial business, are also selecting the kind of people whom they can give help, who have a decent CIBIL score and who can be helped. And finally, this whole process of COVID and before that demonetization has been an activity where organized sector has gained from the unorganized sector. That also means more MSMEs have been left behind. We have to see whether the progress of the organized sector is so much that more of the organized sector get work. Thank you very much for watching this special edition of Indianomics.